I'm Glenn Rogers, and this is Biblical Insights. In this video, we're going to talk about the spiritual versus the material. It's an important contrast for Christians to think about, and the text we're going to be looking at in a few moments is 1 John chapter 2, verses 15 through 17. But before we get to that, I want to take just a minute and ask you to help us out by subscribing to our channel. It really does make a difference. In the end, it helps our video be available for more people to see. And so if you could hit that subscribe button, it would be very helpful to us. Okay, so this idea about the spiritual versus the material, what does the Bible have to say about that? Specifically, in this video, what does the Apostle John have to say about that? And as I said, we're going to read from 1 John chapter 2, verses 15 through 17. John says, "Do not love this world or the material things that belong to this world. You cannot love God and love the world. The reason for this is simple. The things that are part of and important in this material world, the sensual cravings of the body, the continual desire for things we do not need, and the pride that comes from owning and doing, all those things and more are of the material world, not the spiritual world. The material world and all that is part of it will come to an end. But the person who lives as God would have him live will enjoy life forever." Now, that's an important contrast that John draws there between these two realms, we'll say, or these two aspects of reality, the physical or material reality and the spiritual reality, the material world and the spiritual world. And John is saying you can't give both of them an equal place in your life. He's saying you just can't do that. You can't love God and love the world too. Now, I can understand how someone would have an issue with this, or might at least wonder, why would God say something like that? I mean, after all, didn't he create the world? Well, yes, he did. And didn't he create me so that I need things in this world and so that I can enjoy things in this world? Well, yeah, he did. He made our bodies in such a way that we have needs and we have desires and that we can enjoy. It's one of the things that's very pleasurable for a human being is to sit down to a good meal of food that you like and sit there and enjoy that meal as you share it, say, with somebody else and talk and discuss. Those things are very, very pleasurable. So is God saying you can't enjoy that anymore? No, that's not what he's saying. He's talking about a matter of priorities. What do you love more? Do you love this physical world more than the spiritual world? Do you love physical or material things more than you love God? You can't keep them equal, and you certainly shouldn't put the material above the spiritual. You should put the spiritual above the material, and you should love God more than anything in the material world. See, what John's really talking about is a matter of priorities here. If we're talking about God versus the world, God should come in first place, right? God should be the most important. And you can't have any divided loyalties. Okay, you can't say, well, on Sundays I love God. I go to church, I pray, I sing, I do that stuff, and that's God's place is on Sunday. And the rest of the time, well, I got the world to deal with, and so I have a job, and I got bills to pay, so I have to earn money, and then I got to pay for this and pay for that, and I need food and I need clothes, and the world's a pretty important place. I enjoy watching sports, or I enjoy doing this, or I enjoy playing sports, or whatever. But you can't eliminate the world. Well, that's true. You can't eliminate the world. Nobody's asking anyone to eliminate the world. God doesn't ask us to eliminate the world from our lives, or to relegate it to such a low position that it is completely unimportant. God designed us with certain needs and desires, and he expects us to fulfill those. We have a survival instinct built in. When we're hungry, we eat. When we're thirsty, we drink. All of those sorts of things. And God's not asking us to give all of that up entirely. He's just saying prioritize your life. Put what ought to be first, and put the things that are down lower on the list, down there where they belong. Material things aren't as important as spiritual things. Years ago, when I was first starting out in ministry, there was a woman in the church that met a man and fell in love with him, and he proposed, and they wanted to get married. And so she talked to him about his spiritual life, and wanted me to visit with him, talk with him. And so we sat down and we talked, and he agreed to be married, quote, in the church, and he wanted to embrace the religion that his wife believed, and he wanted to become a Christian. But one day, as we were going through all of this stuff, he confided in me, and he said, Glenn, I understand the stuff you've been talking about, and I get it, and I think there's a place for it. He said, but as far as I can tell, the most important part of life is the physical part of life. That's more important than this other stuff. And we talked about that some, and I tried to help him see the weakness of that position. And I don't think he ever did. I don't think he ever embraced the spiritual realities as being more important than the physical. And I can sort of understand that, because his entire experience of life had simply been life in the physical world. And that's true for all of us, isn't it? We're physical beings in a physical world, and this is how we experience the physical reality. But what we have to understand is that we're not just physical beings, right? There's the inner part of us, the part of us that thinks and that weighs alternatives and that makes decisions and that wills, that says, I will do this or I will not do that. We have a will. In one sense, you can say we are a willing people, in that we will to do this or that, and we carry out our will. And just as there is the will of God, there's the will of the individual. I'm going to do this, or I'm not going to do that. You see, and all of that happens inside, in the mind, in what some people call the heart or the spirit or the soul, right? And that's separate from the physical body. When the physical body dies, the real you, the spirit side of you, the mental side of you, the mind, continues to live as an individuated self. You will exist forever. And that's why spiritual things are more important than physical things. And that's what John says in this text. He says all these physical things are just temporary, right? They're all going to come to an end. They're all going to go away. But the spiritual things are forever. And so they're more important. An illustration that I've used from time to time goes like this. Suppose you're going on a trip, and it's a long trip, and whether you're driving or flying or whatever, the trip involves you having to spend a night in a hotel. Okay? Well, knowing you're going to do that, do you bring all of your stuff with you, all your furniture, all your possessions, and all that sort of stuff, your pictures, and bring your tools and paint and all that sort of stuff when you get in your hotel room? Spend your time there, making it your home, because you're going to stay there that night. And so you got to have your pictures on the walls, and you got to paint the walls the color you want them, and you got to put in your furniture and your electronic stuff, and you got to do all this stuff so that this hotel room you're going to be in one night is your home. Well, see, most people will go, oh, no, that would be dumb. Why? Because we're only going to be there one night. Why would we put in all that effort? And besides, it's not really legal. I don't think you could do that. Could you bring all your stuff? Well, okay, you probably couldn't. But aside from all of that, the point is, it doesn't make any sense. You're just there temporarily. It's not your real home. You're just staying there overnight. Okay, what you have to understand, and this is the perspective that Christianity gives you, is that this physical world is not your permanent home. It's just temporary. Now, the temporary may turn out to be 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years, okay? And you think, well, that's kind of a long temporary, isn't it? Well, yeah. From a worldly point of view, from a physical point of view, where we think an hour is a long time, 70 or 80, 90 years, that seems like a really long time. But the fact is, compared to everlasting, from the time you come into existence, from then on, forever, then 80 or 90 years is just a blink of the eye. It's nothing. You see, the permanent realities of existence are the spiritual realities of existence. That's where you put your focus, not on the temporary material stuff. You see, and that's what John is saying here. So don't love the world. Don't make it more important than it is. Are there good things in the world that you can enjoy and have fun with and value and cherish? Yeah, of course there is. That's the way God made the world. So we can enjoy and can have those things, and that's good, and we should enjoy them. But when we're looking at priorities, the material world goes down and the spiritual world goes up, and we put God up there on the top, and He's what comes first. We don't love the world. We love God. And that helps us in making decisions, in outlining the rest of our priorities for life, in the way we live life. You see, all of those things grow out of the fact that we understand the material world is temporary, and therefore it is not the most important. The most important is the spiritual world, which is permanent. And so John is encouraging his readers to stay focused and put God where God belongs, and put the world down here where it belongs. Well, those are my thoughts for today. I hope you found them helpful and interesting, and I would leave you with these thoughts. Read your Bible, pray, go to church, and may God bless.